Hi, I'm April, a community librarian with Deschutes Public Library. Every fall, I get to visit schools to talk about books. It's a great part of my job as a teen services librarian, and I'm really sad that this year I don't get to see all of you in person. Truly, visiting schools to nerd out about books has been one of the favorite parts of my job. So this year I decided I couldn't just skip it. I had to make you guys a video. So if you've never met me before for book talks, I love to share around a dozen titles with students every fall, just to kind of kick off your reading for the school year. So I know all of our educational experiences look so different this year. Maybe you're distance learning, maybe you're trying some new homeschooling experiments, but whatever school looks like for you this fall, I hope that you're still able to find some great time to read. Maybe you have more time to read. Maybe you have more freedom in what to read. So today I have a list of some great titles that have appeal for all different kinds of readers. And before I get into those, I also wanted to share some of the things you can find through Deschutes Public Library's website that can help get you reading this fall. So I'm going to do a little screen share here to get to a presentation that I put together. And we're going to follow a few links in and out and around of the Deschutes Public Library's website. What I'm talking about today is geared mostly towards middle school students, those of you in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. But of course, you don't have to be those ages to read these books. It just so happens that that's who I tend to spend most of the time with during my school visits in the fall. So one of the first things I want to point out is that the Deschutes Public Library website has an amazing collection of book lists. So if you're someone who loves to explore new worlds with your books and reading, you may want to head to the teen page and check out our fantasy and science fiction lists. You know that every October I've got to talk about some creepy books. So we have some horror stories, we have adventure, we have spine-tingling thrillers. All of those lists are available for you, as well as my favorite category, those good old realistic books. So whether you're looking for a book that introduces you maybe to a new experience, a new culture, a new way of living life, or you're looking for stories about kids just like you, our realistic book lists are a perfect opportunity to find a new great book. We also have lists on the Teen Reads page that are more about a topic. So if you're looking for LGBTQ+ titles, or if you really love reading nonfiction, or maybe you're after one of my favorites, the format we call graphic novels or fancy comic books, you can find lists like that on our site as well. So let me go ahead and hop over and you'll see what I mean. Here's our books and reading page, and here are the lists, over a dozen different lists, including the OBOB titles for you guys. Romance titles, sports, diverse voices, so looking at books that come from outside maybe what our lives are like here in Bend, Oregon. We have audiobooks. If you'd like to listen to a story, we've got some great picks here. So you can see there's a lot to explore, and we are in the middle of updating all of these lists right now. A list that I most recently updated is our tween section, our tween reads. So this is where I chose most of our books that I'll share today. Because tween reads, the word tween, I know a lot of you in middle school don't really like. This is basically a way of saying middle school books. Maybe we should change the title. But anyway, I just finished updating this with 40 books. Many of them are brand new to the list, published in 2020. So this is a great area for you to take a look at for those next books, along with everything else on our page. All right, lots of clicking today. Here we go. Another service I wanted to share with you is MyReads. So this is an option for you to get connected with a librarian and pick our brain for your next great book. So MyReads is essentially a form that you can find on Deschutes Public Library's website. It's under our books, movies, and music section. And this personalized reading service will help you get maybe a fun surprise or find a new author or a book that you may never have considered before. We just ask that you fill out this form as much as possible. The more information you give us, the easier it is for us to try to match you with another title. We can either email 3 to 5 books to you, or we can put some books on hold and just have them ready for you to come pick up at whatever library is most convenient for you. So we just ask that you let us know what you might like to read. You can share a little bit more with us in the text box here, and then we will go to work. So you do need a library card to use this service, which leads me to Do you have a library card? Every October when I visit schools, I check in with students to make sure that you've got what you need to use all of the resources that are available through DPL. So if you've had a library card for a couple of years, great. If you got a library card in elementary school and maybe haven't used it recently, it's possible your card doesn't work any longer. So I would definitely recommend trying to log in to your account through our website to see if you're still active. And if not, we can get you a new card. If you've never had a card through Deschutes Public Library, this is the time to do it. Act now. You can head down to one of our libraries and get a library card in person. You will just need your adult with you to sign up on the form. And if you are having a hard time getting to the library but still want to use all of our services, it's okay. Here on Deschutes Public Library's main homepage, it says Get a Library Card. We are able to start the library card process for you electronically. So if you live in Deschutes County, you can apply online, even if you're under 17. We just have you fill in your date of birth. And if you are a minor, if you're in middle school or high school and you're under 17, we'll just need to have your adult go through that process with you so we can connect their library card to yours. But it's a really simple process. Once you fill out that application, we create a library card for you and we'll send it to you in the mail. Before you get your card in the mail, though, we'll also email you with your card number so you can start using your account before you even get your card in the mail. So a couple of great ways to get library cards so you can access everything that I'm going to share with you today. A lot of us had to turn to digital or electronic reading this summer. Libraries were closed. Obviously, you weren't able to access your school library. So I wanted to take a quick moment to talk about the apps that you can use through Deschutes Public Library to do electronic reading. So we have Libby, which is kind of the public library version of what you find on your iPads through school if you're in Ben Lapine, the Sora app. And if you're attending one of the other schools in our area, Redmond Sisters, Sora is also available to you through your school library. So when you use Deschutes Public Library's Overdrive account, you have access to more items. So this is an app that you would put on your own personal device, your own phone, your own tablet, that kind of thing. We have a great product called Hoopla, where you can download ebooks, e-audio, and there's also a huge comics and graphic novels selection. Then the last thing that I wanted to share is our magazine service, which is called RB Digital. You are able to download full magazine issues to your personal devices. This is an incredible service. There are magazines for all different ages, all different interests. So if you're someone who doesn't really feel like you have time to read, or maybe you're just not the kind of reader to pick up a great big novel, but you love reading little bits and pieces, then reading magazines is a great way to keep getting stories and information in your brain, and RB Digital is an awesome, awesome service. So I'll show you our digital downloads page. This again is under our books, movies, and music menu. And here is a list of all of the apps that we offer. So you can read a little bit about them. You can go ahead and find all of the apps in whatever store is available to you, whether it's the Apple Store or it's the Android Store. You can just download Hoopla, you can download Canopy, you can download Overdrive, all these great things to your device. You can also use these on a regular computer, a laptop, or a desktop, and it's a great thing to bring to your whole family, because there are some really cool opportunities here to watch some movies and television through Hoopla, find some incredible documentaries through Canopy. So I would love it if all of you had the chance to explore our digital downloads. And again, you will need a library card to create your accounts for these services. So be sure you've got your library card ready to go. All right, so let's get started with some of the books that I chose to share today. Most of these are all part of our tween list that I mentioned earlier that I just updated. So I wanted to start off with some of those real life books, stories about kids just like you, or maybe stories about kids who are a little bit different than you, but it's all great. We love to read stories about people who are different from us. That's how we have our experiences, and that's how we learn more about the world. So first off, we've got I Can Make This Promise by Christine Day. This was a really sweet, quick read, and we learn about 12-year-old Edie. Edie has just found letters and photographs in her attic that change everything she thought she knew about her Native American mother's adoption. And then, as she digs deeper, she realizes she has a lot to learn about her entire family history and her own identity. I really enjoyed reading Edie's story as she peels back the layers of what it means for her to be Native American, how she relates to her mother, and then the history of what the whole family has gone through was just a really great story. And I really enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed getting to know Edie and the other characters. Edie is creative. She's working on making a film for school. She has issues with friends and her family, just like so many of us do when we're 12 years old. So Edie is a really relatable character. I wanted to share Wink by Rob Harrell. If you have ever read Wonder and enjoyed it and would consider reading something like that, this might be a next great book for you. So after being diagnosed with a rare eye cancer, 12-year-old Ross discovers how music, art, and true friends can push him through treatment as well as just generally surviving middle school. That's how we all make it through, right? With our friends, with our hobbies, the things that get us happy and excited. And especially for our main character here, Ross has got some extra struggles. This is based partially on the author's own experience with surviving cancer. And as he talks a little bit about writing this book, he felt like it was really important to share with younger kids what it means to go through a medical diagnosis and treatment for something like a rare cancer. So reading books like this help us develop empathy and understanding of others. Plus, Wink is just funny. So thinking about funny books, next up is Stand Up Yumi Chung. I enjoy stand-up comedy. Sometimes it makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. I think that being a comedian is a pretty rare talent. Some of you may identify as a comedian or the class clown, for better or for worse. So Yumi, she doesn't think of herself that way. As a matter of fact, Yumi stumbles into a summer comedy camp completely by accident. She was mistaken for another student, but Yumi's other plans this summer were not nearly as exciting. So she says, hey, why not? Here I go. Let's try comedy camp. She begins to learn the art of stand-up comedy, and along the way, she learns to stand up for herself, for her friends, and her family too. So Stand Up Yumi Chung by Jessica Kim, a great book with lots of humor. If you're a fantasy or science fiction reader, you know the power of world building. How can an author create planets, characters, experiences that are completely fantastical and amazing? These are 3 books I think you'll enjoy if you love to escape to new worlds. First off is Maya and the Rising Dark by Rena Barron. A 12-year-old girl discovers that her father is the keeper of the gateway between our world and the dark. And when her father goes missing, she'll need to unlock her own powers to fight a horde of spooky creatures set on starting a war. Maya and the Rising Dark is based on West African mythology. So this is a great next read for those of you who have been big fans of Percy Jackson or other mythology-based series or books. Maya and the Rising Dark will introduce you to a great new set of mythological stories, a new culture perhaps, and Maya herself is just a fantastic, strong main female character. Next up is 7th Grade versus the Galaxy by Joshua Levy. This is a fantasy book that's maybe a little more on the silly side. 7th grader Jack and his classmates find themselves in hostile alien territory after Jack accidentally launches their rickety public school ship light years away from home. There are chase scenes, aliens in the mall, daring rescues, everything you would be looking for in a sci-fi book set in outer space with a bunch of kids leading the way. You can find it here. Maybe even a little time travel, maybe some time travel with aliens. How is this book going to wrap up? Well, you might not be surprised at the cliffhanger ending that leads us to book 2, which will be released in the next couple of years. The last book I wanted to share today in our New Worlds category is a brand new title called Alatsoi by Darcy Little Badger, an Indigenous author. So imagine an America similar to our own. It's got homework, best friends, pistachio ice cream. There are a few differences, however, because this futuristic America has been shaped dramatically by magic. And both Indigenous residents of this new world and non-Indigenous folks all have different levels of magic. And some of the magic is cute and fun, kind of charming, like the ability to make a ball of light appear. However, other forces are much more scary, straight up evil, and should never be allowed to see the light of day. 17-year-old Ellie lives in this slightly stranger America. She can raise the ghosts of dead animals, a skill passed down through generations of her Apache family. The picture perfect facade of this America and what you find underneath it makes it a fascinating read, a little bit spooky, and introduces you again to a new world of magic and storytelling. And so this is Elotsoe by Darcy Little Badger. It's October. As if you're watching this more or less in real time, Halloween is just a couple of weeks away. So every fall when I visit schools, I always bring some books that are a little spooky, a little creepy, because at the library, we hear about wanting these books at this time of year all the time. So I'll start off with Gloomtown, which is about a main character named Rory. Rory has lived in Gloom, a small, bleak fishing village, all his life. His single mom can hardly make ends meet, so when Rory sees that there's a job available at the very creepy Foxglove Manor, he decides the benefits outweigh the risks and he applies for the position. As he's hired on and given a significant salary, a nice big pile of money to get started, he's so happy that he's going to be able to help out back at home. Until he discovers that the owner of that manor, Lord Foxglove, is even more evil than the rumors have said. The whole town is in danger. So Rory enlists his best friend Izzy to help defeat, well, hopefully defeat the supernatural forces at play in that ghostly manor. That's Gloomtown by Ronald L. Smith. Next up is Ghost Squad by Claribel A. Ortega. For Lucille Luna, ghosts are more than just the family business. Shortly before Halloween, Lucille and her best friend Sid cast a spell that accidentally awakens malicious, evil, scary spirits, and those ghosts begin to cause all kinds of havoc in St. Augustine. Together, Lucille and her friend must join forces with Sid's grandmother, a witch, Babette, and Babette's tubby tabby cat, Chunk, to help fight the haunting head-on and reverse the curse to save the town and Lucille's firefly spirits before it's too late. This is Ghost Squad by Claribel Ortega. Last up in our spooky creepy category is the new book by Kenneth Oppel, which is called Bloom. I feel like the cover itself automatically kind of gives me the creeps. In Bloom, the invasion has begun, but not as you expect. It begins with rain, and the rain carries seeds, seeds that sprout overnight everywhere. New plants take over fields, twine up houses, burrow beneath streets. Then the plants bloom, releasing toxic poison. They bloom, and these Venus flytrap-like pods appear on the vines, and things seem to just keep getting worse. All of these blooms seem to be unstoppable. Or are they? 3 kids on a remote island seem immune to the toxic plants. Anaya, Petra, and Seth all have strange allergies, but so far aren't affected by these plants. Is it up to them to save the world from the bloom that's about to overtake them? If you like this kind of creepy, eerie story, you'll definitely want to check out Kenneth Oppel's other title called The Nest. The Nest is a book I will never forget as long as I live. So check out Kenneth Oppel and his creepy offerings for your October reading. All right, today we're going to talk about a few graphic novels. These are books with pictures. Hooray, I love them. They're my favorite. Graphic novels are such a great option if you're just getting started finding books to read on your own. If you feel like you don't have time to dig into a big novel, or if you just enjoy getting some art along with your words when you're reading a story, here are 3 graphic novels I think you'll really enjoy. So first up is When Stars Are Scattered by Victoria Jameson and Omar Mohammed. Jameson is an illustrator living right here in Oregon. She lives up in Portland, and you may recognize her name from her first graphic novel, which was Roller Girl, which stars a 12-year-old who's just learning the sport of roller derby. Now Jameson turns her eyes to a biographical story. So her co-author, Omar Mohammed, this is a bit of his real life experience. Omar and his younger brother Hassan have spent most of their lives in Dadaab, a refugee camp in Kenya. Life is hard there. There's never enough food, it's achingly dull, and there's lack to the medical care that Omar knows his nonverbal brother needs. So when Omar is all of a sudden given the opportunity to attend school, he knows it might be a chance to change the brother's future, but it could also mean leaving his brother behind, the only family he has left, every day leaving him behind. What will he make of his choice? Next up is Stepping Stones by a graphic novelist named Lucy Nicely. She's written a lot of books for adults. This is one of her first middle grade stories. And this one also is based on her own life growing up, but a fictional version. Jen did not want to leave the city. She did not want to move to a farm with her mom and her mom's new boyfriend, Walter. She did not want to leave her friends and her dad. Most of all, Jen did not want to get new sisters, Andy and Reese. As if learning all the new chores on the farm weren't hard enough, having to deal with perfect at everything Andy might be the last straw for Jen. Besides cleaning the chicken coop, keeping up with customers at the farmer's market, and missing her own life, Jen has to deal with her own insecurities about her new stepfamily and where she might fit into that story. So if you've gone through the experience of being in a blended family, or you have friends who have, this is a great book to address that experience. And even if you don't know what it's like to be in a blended family or a family that maybe looks a little bit different, again, this is a great book to help build that understanding and that empathy of those around you who are in slightly different situations. So that's Stepping Stones by Lucy Nicely. Then the last book that I'll share with you today is The Deep and Dark Blue, a new graphic novel by Nikki Smith. This is set in a fantasy world where there is a political coup. So the royal reigning family has been taken down from within. A relative of the royals has decided that she needs to take over, and she does so in a very nasty way. Two brothers escape the coup, running for their lives, Hawk and Grayson. As they flee to stay alive, they assume new identities, Hannah and Grace. So Hawk and Grayson have joined the Communion of Blue, an order of magical women who spin the threads of reality to their will. So now they're undercover, living as females, and as the twins get deeper and deeper into the mystery of what happened back at home with their family, they begin to hatch a plan to find revenge and take back what is rightfully theirs. While Hawk is eager to return to his own life and leave Hannah behind, Grace wants to keep her identity. She struggles to keep the threads of her new life from unraveling and realizes that she wants to stay in the one place that will allow her to finally live as a girl. So The Deep and Dark Blue has lots of great themes and beautiful illustrations running throughout it, just like the other two graphic novels here. They're full color. They're a great experience to try reading something a little bit different. So I always love recommending graphic novels whenever I come and share books with you guys. All right, well, that's the end of my presentation today. I hope that you found a book or two that you might be interested in reading. If none of the books on my list today seem just right, you know now how to find more through our book lists, through our MyRead service. Maybe you download some apps and start flipping through magazines and graphic novels. These are all great ways to get that reading in for fun, for book reports. Tell your friends about what you found through DPL. If you're still looking for more help, we'd love to see you at our libraries. Stop by and say hi for more great books. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you later.